After 5 years of full-time RV living, we did something this season that would have been unthinkable to us when we first began traveling. The thing is that we wanted to spend a season skiing, and so in order to enable that, we on purpose spent an entire winter camped in the snow.
All this snow. We were like always running away from this, and now here we are. So here's what worked well, here's what didn't. All right, so we have two propane tanks that came with the RV, but we'd go through that pretty quick. So we contacted a local company and picked up a portable propane tank. It was actually pretty cheap. It's only $100 to rent it for the winter, which we thought was pretty good. And then the propane cost, because they come by and they fill it up, is only like $2.50. So that's an extremely good price on propane. So, and then they just run a hose to the inside. So, and I think we've only had to fill it up twice, maybe. It's been actually, we haven't gone through as much propane as I thought we would. So definitely have to get a propane tank to keep us warm. And then starting with the skirting, actually maybe I'll start with this because we're not going to come back over here. Initially we did not put styrofoam on this slide out. This is in our bedroom, and mostly it's just a closet for our clothes. And what we found is that we were getting a lot of moisture underneath here because it's closed, our drawers are here, and that was causing a lot of problems. And so I ended up insulating this, and it has really helped. And you'll see what's inside. We put a fan in there. I think it's really helped to keep down the moisture because we were getting moisture and rust, and we were starting to rot some of the wood. We actually did rot one piece of wood, but I think the bottom's okay. But I would definitely do this again. I would do it sooner. Go with styrofoam and just styrofoam this to keep it warm, so we don't have all the moisture. We started with skirting. We started from here and then just skirt all the way around. Actually, look at the tape. We started with this tape. I think I bought it at Lowe's or Home Depot, and then this was like the highest quality tape. But then we went to a better quality, and I'll show that on the other side. But the tape does make a difference. But we just started. And we're just using this double bubble. It's got reflective on the inside and then black on the outside. This has helped, and especially that it's black, it not only matches the RV pretty well. We've gotten a few compliments on, oh, it matches so well. Not a big deal to us, but it does match. But then the other thing is that we're on this side of the sun comes over this way, and it actually heats up, and it bakes. It just heats up the skirting, and by if you have a sunny day, this underneath is actually quite warm, and I think it's because it heats up that skirting, and then it just reflects the inside. But we just kind of skirt it all the way around, running along here with more of this double bubble wrap. On the back here, we decided to go underneath this and not over, just in case we needed to open up the back. We've never opened up the back, so maybe I wouldn't do that again. But what we found pretty early on is that we were getting a lot of airflow. The seal is just not 100%. And so we taped up all along the seal. And I think that has helped with a lot of just preventing that wind from going through that seal, because it's not 100% seal. All the way through the top. I think it's helped a little bit. Now, we were running the double bubble around this side, and when we got to here, I realized we had a problem in that this side, this slab actually slopes down ever so much. And so by the time I got here, I actually needed to come up in order to compensate. And so that means we had to basically cut here. And so this has not worked out so well. So there's one, and then it reconnects here. And so to connect this and then to expect it to hold for the entire winter, that's asking a lot. So we just taped it, and that has not held very well. But there was nothing we could do. And so, yeah, we did what we could. We taped it, and it still held okay, but I wish we had known. We should have started on this side, and then once we'd gotten around to that side, because we would have already been higher we would not have had to cut this double bubble and then try to reconnect it by taping it, because that is just, you don't want to have any kind of, you don't want to break it, but we had to break it. So yeah, we don't use this door. This has worked really well. I would certainly do this again. We just taped across it. You can see here, sometimes you had to come through and then re-apply it. But overall, this tape has worked really well. And I had seen a lot of videos, and they said that this, I think it's called like AC tape. Everyone had said it comes off easy. Overall, it holds pretty well. That has certainly been my experience. It's done pretty well. Around here, the slide, we just did as best we could. We came around, you know, we kind of had an issue here where we, you know, how do you come around this lip? So we just did what as best we could, came around it. Came around here. Okay, so once we got around the slide out, which was a real hassle because of the strange corners, then we got to the stairs, and because the stairs, they fold inside, that means like there's metal underneath there where it comes out, and so you have a break. And so taping around that was a bit of a hassle. I had to do it a couple times until I realized I should just tape like multiple things across, because I would tape it and then people would hit it and then it would come undone. And the other thing I had to do is, so I taped across it, that helped. And then on the inside, because there's nothing to push against it, I actually put foam on the inside, because there's a little, where it goes in, there's like a square or rectangular area. And so I actually shoved some styrofoam in that, and now there's, whenever we come up the stairs and we kick it, we have something to push against, and then this tape has held pretty well. So that worked okay, but the stairs were definitely an issue. Next year, what we might do, we might just build stairs out here and keep these stairs inside. That way we can just have one smooth piece going all the way across, and we don't have any breaks. So that might be something to consider next year. Here's how we fastened it. So you have the foam, or the double bubble, and then what we did is I ran 2x4s. I framed out 2x4s all along Guinevere, and then what I did is we actually wrapped. So we have the 2x4, and then we wrap the double bubble around. So this is going up, and then we stapled on the inside. And so the double bubble is being held by the tape here, but then on the bottom, it's being held by it's weighted down by the 2x4 and then stapled on the inside. I'm not sure I would do that again. What most guys are doing around here is they actually go on the outside. So they go down, and then they have an overlap down at the bottom, and then they put snow on top of it, and that holds it down. I think I would probably go that route again next year, because we have like 1,000 staples to remove from the 2x4s and holding this, and that's just gonna be a nightmare. It has held really well. That has worked out really good, but it's gonna be a real pain to remove that. So if we can use the snow as a support, so we have the tape up here, and then we just have snow along the bottom, you know, just shovel snow along it, it would just make it one less thing to mess with. We wouldn't have to mess with 2x4s. On the sewer, a lot of people go all out, they'll like completely cover up the sewer. We just run we have one of our gray tanks is always open to the shower because we wash clothes, and there's only one time that it froze, and so I had to take a heat gun and unfreeze it. But other than that, we've only had one time in this whole winter. And then since then, I wrapped a heated hose around it, and then I taped it. And then if I need it, I'll just plug it in. But I haven't needed to use that once. And so this is like, there's nothing. It's just straight. It's on a little bit of an incline, and we've only frozen once. And for one winter, I'll take it. That's not too bad. Okay, we have an absorption fridge. This is something that I looked into quite a bit, because these, when it gets super duper cold, like below 10 degrees, these can start to have some issues. And so I looked into this a little bit, and one guy, you have, there's a heated tape that you can use. It's like a kit, like a winterizing kit for this. That was already on here, so that's good. But then another guy put a small heater, like a 100 watt heater. I bought a 125 watt heat lamp, and I just kind of put it up under there, and it just provides a little bit of heat. And then I don't want anything to get too hot, so I put some reflective just around the wires, just to keep things safe. And then I also taped. You don't want to tape everything because you need airflow. So I just taped 2 of them. And we haven't had any issues, although it hasn't been super uber cold. One time it got down to negative. I just take 2 because that's what that one guy did, and you want to leave at least 1. And as it gets warmer, I'll take this off. But you need some airflow. You can't tape it everything. But just to provide some heat, I think from what I read, it just helps with the absorption fridge. Because when it gets too cold, it can actually damage these fridges. The other thing I did is because I'm really concerned about the fire risk with these, especially in the winter. You can kind of see it. I put a smoke alarm up there. So if there's any issue, it'll pick it up really quick, and then hopefully we'll have time to deal with that. God forbid. Okay, let me say one more thing on the sewer. So if you look over here, we just have the Camco sewer line. I have the Camco pressure regulator. It's just a real short thing. And I went with that because initially I had like this big fancy splitter with the fancy like gauge pressure regulator. But in order to keep that from freezing, I had to use a heat tape. And I didn't like to do that because that's just running more electricity and you had to run an electrical cord. So I just got the small pressure regulator that's very common, and I put that on, and then the splitter, and then I'm using the heated hose, and this wire is actually warm. It's warm right now. We have not frozen a single time at all this whole winter. This hose has been great. It only goes like a few feet and then it goes underneath. That has worked really well. The other thing is the black tank, we have to flush it. And so the question is, well, how do you flush, and how do you get water to there? So what I've done is I have this hose, just a flexible hose that is off the splitter. It's always hooked up. And then I just keep it loose here. And when I need to flush the when I need to flush the black tank, I just pick this up, hook it up, flush it, and then that way I don't have to run another hose under here through all this. To me, this has worked really well. And then when I'm done, I just drain it. And this Gorilla hose or Flexzilla hose, it's really easy to drain the water out. And so I just leave it like this. There's no water in it once I'm done. But I use that to flush my hose and just leave it out. Okay, so let's hold this. What to do about the overhang, the front overhang? I found a guy on YouTube that framed out the overhang and made like a garage, and I thought that was pretty cool, so that's what I did. What we did is we ran the skirting all the way up to here, and then we paused, and we basically built a frame. We just kind of framed it out, and I just did it all ad hoc, just had enough 2x4s, and the measurements were all wonky because again it's sliding. It's not a flat surface. It's actually, the slab is tilted, and so I can't give any dimensions because it was very unique. But we framed it out. We made this door. This has worked really well. And what it is, here, come inside. What it has allowed is that it's just a small space that is protected from the wind, doesn't get quite as cold, and yeah, so we put all of our ski boots in here. We took out a bunch of, we just stored random stuff. I have a blower. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to mention is a snow blower, like just a blower is with this powder in Colorado. It actually works really well to blow off the snow. So that's been huge. I'm definitely bringing that again. But we just store a bunch of random stuff, all of our shoes. It's dry, and ski boots. We put all of our helmets along here, so that has been helpful along the way. A couple of things that I will say. Now, if you come in here, the inside of the front overhang, that's where we sleep, and so there's a lot of moisture from just breathing at night, and we don't have a dehumidifier in there, and so there's a lot of moisture content that builds up along the front cap, and then it actually drains out. And so you can see this is a bit of an issue, but we're gonna have to fix it before we leave. But I've left it because we get a lot of moisture that comes down and drips, and then there's a huge ice puddle. You can't see it, but there's a big ice puddle down here. And so I actually think that that's okay, because at least the water has some place to drain out. Now, because of that, I actually put this wrap along the over the 2x4s because I knew everything was going to get wet. That has worked out really well. The other thing I did is I used this foam, so I framed it out with wood. We framed out all along here, and then we stuffed it with this 2-inch styrofoam. I'm not sure I would do that again, because this double bubble has worked so well. This might just be a bit of a too much, but I would definitely do this garage again. Okay, the other thing is we also store a bunch of stuff underneath here. Now, the one thing I didn't want to do is I wanted to have as few holes in the skirting as possible. And so on our back kitchen, our gray tank, there's a pull over there. And so a lot of people, they just cut it out, and then they cut out a hole in the skirting, and then they pull it. I actually didn't want to do that, and so in order to drain our kitchen sink, we actually, I got a roller. I just brought a roller from the house, and then I just roll all the way back there, pull the cord. And what that allows me to do is that at least once a week, about every 6 days, we have to drain that tank. It just gives me an opportunity to just take a look and make sure everything's okay in there. I think if there's a problem, I'll catch it because I'm under here at least once a week. But having a roller, huge, because otherwise I had to crawl under there and pull that valve. That I haven't seen anybody else do. It's probably been an overkill, but I wanted to do that because I want to see that, make sure that everything's okay, at least periodically under here. So then what I did is I just cut out this guy here, and then we just keep it like that. That way it's loose. I can take it off. And what we have seen here, we'll go out. I think the big question is, well, does it work? Is it really helpful? We have seen a minimum of 20-degree difference between the outside and underneath. And sometimes when it gets really cold, like when it got down to like -20, it was like a 35, maybe 40-degree difference, where it was 20 underneath and then like -20 on outside. That would probably be the most, the most dramatic difference. So even though it's super thin, it actually really does help. And actually a lot of people, what they use is the billboard sign. You can get a company that will custom make like a skirt just out of old billboard sign. It's really thick, but it's like super duper thin. It's thinner than what we have, and they use that. And I think the main thing is that you just don't want wind whipping up underneath there. But a lot of other people do use like the 2-inch foam. That would be so much work. This was already a lot of work, but 2-inch foam, like that would be a nightmare. This has done the job. We have not had any heat. Some people put a heater underneath here and then heat underneath. I haven't done that once. And it does get below 32, but if it gets below 30, if it's in the 30s, high 20s, it's still okay because I have my underbelly is still protected, and like I said, we haven't run into any issues. We're always running the furnace, and so it's heating up under the belly. We have not had any problems with this. So maybe I would put a heater in there if it got super duper cold, like -10, -20. But for the most part, we haven't done it, and it's done the job. And it's only like that thick of double bubble wrap, and I've been super impressed. So I would definitely do this again, or the skirting with the billboard, and then, but I would do it like I said, I wouldn't do the way I fastened it on the bottom with the 2x4s. I would just actually flap it underneath and then put the snow on top. So the skirting has worked really well. It's been a huge saver for us. Brought a shovel that we've had for a long time, a big shovel, and then a flat shovel and a broom. And since then we have picked up, I would leave this, I wouldn't bring this. I would certainly bring a hard bristle broom to shovel around the small stuff, and especially the stairs. This is very helpful. The flat shovel I would also bring, because sometimes you need something that's hard, that can break up some of this snow. And then along the way, I picked up a pick in order to break up the ice, because sometimes we don't get to the snow, and if you don't get to it pretty quick, sometimes the ice is over, and then you've got like ice, you're walking on ice, and so you need something to break it up. And so this has worked pretty well to break it up. I also picked up this guy. Here, watch. This is it's like meant for cars. It's like real soft, so you can just kind of like push all it off, all the snow off. So this has been really helpful to get the snow off the cars. But what's super helpful is this guy. This guy's been amazing. It's called the Snow Plow, the original Snow Plow. And this has just been really good to push off all the snow. And yeah, so as far as tools and snow removal, I'd bring this guy, super helpful, the ice pick, flat shovel, and a broom. It's a lot, but you kind of need it for the different areas. And the trick is to get to it as fast as possible before.
So that's the long and the short of how we winterized the exterior of our RV. Of course, the interior was a whole nother story. Our family played hard this winter, but of course, all of that hard playing calls for first some hard working. Is warm weather RVing easier? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, doesn't this work project look like so much fun? What'd you say? I gotta have something to show for this at the very end. You know, how we did this. Especially now that we know that Papa's garage design is so desirable.
Apparently.
Yep. Gotta be
they
real.
They just don't have kids that work well. For free.
I mean, they don't have idiots that work for free.
A brilliant man is never appreciated his time. And by those around him.
Yeah, not by those who get zero pay.
And that's how it's been, folks.